welcome to another episode of Darkest Dawn. So we're here with Bobby, who's playing her monk character. We're here with Robert, her husband, who's playing the treant, who's a bloodroot tree. We're here with Willie, who's playing his warforged. We're here with Karen, who's playing her elf assassin. We're here with Chris, who's playing his basically psionic dragon. We're here with Shannon, who's playing her drow druid. And we're here with John, playing his spawn, basically. Alright, so taking off basically after the gauntlet that we played last week, where we discovered that John had been possessed by a god from the Rod, the god Rod.
Rod god.
Rod god. Anyways, we discovered that the god was testing us by putting us in this Hobbit-induced dream or other reality. And basically what happened was we defeated the gauntlet. And then the god released control of John.
Again.
And we realized that John realized that there was actually two separate gods in the Rod. One evil, one good. Luckily for us, the one that was testing us was the good one. So it was Cord, the god of strength, that was testing us.
Nice.
So what we discovered was John handed the rod to the android. Discovered that one of the abilities the rod has is that it can, when it's handed to somebody and if that person has a soul, immediately upon touching the rod, the rod glows. And that person is basically shown to have a soul. So John handed the rod to the android, and as soon as the android grabbed it, the rod started to glow. And then Dax prayed to Moradin, and the creators of the android showed up in a ship next to our ship, which was kind of funny because all of our guns were pointed at the ship, and the android updated her ship so it has literally the ballistas were turned into lasers and the cannons were turned into plasma cannons. So the ship that showed up next to us was a ship full of dwarfs, and the dwarfs were like freaking out because they'd never seen anything like our ship. They're kind of like, oh god. That's awesome.
So
I'm on it. There was a standoff for a little while where the android was trying to prove to its dwarven creator that it was given a soul by Moradin. And the dwarf named Ratchet decided to
be overly prideful
and cocky, and then Moradin decided to teach him a lesson.
As well as
needless to say, the dwarf ended up without a crew, blind,
stuck to a mast,
and pinned to a mast of his ship.
With a whole thing of shit in his pants.
Yeah, with a whole lot of
other
problems. Yeah, in the Outlands. So he's stuck basically in the Outlands. So we basically did all that for the android. The android basically decided to stay with us. The crew of the ship that she modified in the ship all decided to stay with us. On top of that, we decided to carry on with the quest. Now, what we've been doing before we started to go to the Outlands was that we've been in search of, and we've been basically put on this mission originally by Ola Hydra. And then we discovered that Ola Hydra
basically just wanted us to get there, to use us to get there. And now we're basically doing it on Paylor's behalf. So,
honestly,
the next clue we were given was to go back to the Whispering Woods.
Ooh.
Oh no!
It's
we're already there.
Whispering Woods. Don't be worried.
So we
You
basically
have to fill them in on that.
kicked the ship into overdrive, instantly traveled from the Outlands to the material plane above the Whispering Woods, looked down.
We're talking the same Whispering Woods that we were stuck in for 7 months, right?
Not Not actual in-game ones either. We're talking actual lifetime ones. Again, sorry.
Yeah, I don't care.
We are talking 2 sessions a week for 7 months.
I thought it was 8.
It was
Of random wandering,
through
too.
woods, yeah. So we appear
How does
above.
your druid feel about this?
We
Your
appear-
dryad feel about this?
We appear above the Whispering Woods. Realize that the Whispering Woods is now again cloaked in fog.
I hate you.
I am not getting off this ship.
Hold on.
We decided to not risk it, and we decided to go to the nearest town and gather information, which was Stormhold. Stormhold is the town, basically. It's more of an island off the coast of Unadar, and it's surrounded constantly by this hurricane. Originally, this island was uninhabitable because this storm raged all the time there. And what happened was there was a house of, basically another guild, the house of, I'm trying to remember it, Landar, I think is how you pronounce it.
I can't remember, to be honest.
That
And,
one thing.
what?
We had to leave the rod there.
Oh yes, that was one thing that we had to do. Because Obadhai and Morden basically commanded us to leave the rod behind because it was originally Obadhai's.
He wasn't happy.
Good point. Yeah, he had to remake his city. He's not too happy with Morden and us at the moment.
As I'm over here, like,
I'm
I'm
mad a little bit.
Yeah, he's mad at you a little bit for letting all this happen. But I'm assuming if you were there, you would have helped Obadhai, so
Right.
you would have been okay. So we basically had to go up over the hurricane and down into the eye of the hurricane in order to get to Stormhold. Stormhold is basically this tropical island now. The house Landar basically transformed this uninhabitable island into a tropical paradise that people go to vacation and to trade. It's basically like a stopping point for trade, stuff like that. So we go there, we dock. We realize that there's another elemental ship on the dock with us, but it's not as powerful as ours. It's a fire elemental ship, not a storm elemental ship. We decided to go gather information. We get information from the guard. This is a tropical island.
Right.
Okay, you got this big resort on the beach and into the woods, and we basically go to the closest inn or bar called the Lucky Falcon. So we go into the bar, discover that the bartender is actually some kind of spy.
Spy for who?
You're not sure. We didn't figure that out. Shit. He is actually some kind of spy who deals with information. He had a bodyguard who was a sorcerer and tried to mess with us. Tried to imprison one of us, which is kind of funny. John rolled high enough and was able to break out of temporal stasis, which was awesome.
Ooh!
I hit divinity.
Can I go talk to this nice bartender?
We'll get to that in a second.
Tell
So,
him about
We're
my
still in the
interest.
bar.
Yes.
Do you want me to explain what had happened? Or try to?
If you want.
What happened in the bar was we went in. Because I'm a scary fucking devil thing, I had to hide inside of our assassin, Karen's shadow. Our robot here, Willie, had to shrink to, like, literally think of a Transformer bowling ball type thing.
To
That's
fit-
pretty much what
yeah,
he
to
was.
fit in the bar.
Yeah, and Dax was Dax, and the android was with us, and needless to say, Willie couldn't handle his own Willie with the android. Anyhow, we went in there, and my character, he lost patience with the bartender, and Dax couldn't be able to read their minds because the sorcerer was able to block him and anybody else who could read minds, and when my character lost patience because the bartender was becoming very rude and arrogant, I pop out of the shadow, the whole entire bar got covered in darkness, and, well, there's one special ability he has where a snake comes out of my character's back, and needless to say, I'm sure he's currently...
You were basically holding him upside down with your chains and chewing on his nuts with the
Yep.
snake.
So right now he's probably massaging it like,
Yeah.
I will never disrespect you again.
He's like, no.
But the person that nearly got put into pretty much permanent imprisonment of a gem was me. But the reason why I got excited for accessing Divinity, level 9 spell, broke out of it like nothing, and gave the sorcerer a death stare, and the sorcerer just said to his boss, the bartender, "You're on your own, man." And Dax was able to read minds. We got to get far enough, and we got info. We got him to shit himself,
Do you
too,
remember
but
what
we got info.
Do you guys remember what the info was?
That the fog does not keep us here like it did before for the 7 months.
Right.
But it's a different fog made by somebody or something else.
Right.
And yeah, and we're told that it was over in another. I cannot
It
remember
originated
the town's
over in another town.
name. Yes.
Of Stormhold.
Yep.
Is controlled by a house of elves, which think they are basically the shit. Think the
High elf.
high elf of Skyrim.
Yep.
The
Aldmeri
Aldmeri Dominion. Think of that. That's basically these
Oh, the
guys.
Thalmor.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Thalmor.
that was what I was trying to say. How do they feel about me?
They don't like you being there at all.
What do
Even
they
with
think
the
about
wings and
me?
the whole-
Well, you're still in the ship,
Wait,
right?
they-
Basically,
no,
any other race that is not them
But I'm an elf.
is considered lower class.
But I'm an elf.
I thought that's a little bad.
You're the
If
opposite.
if you're not their type of elf.
Somehow.
Consider racism. That's basically what's going on.
I'd still like to speak to the bartender and tell him about my
Oh, the bartender's
Lord
human.
and Savior. Lilith.
Okay, so we're not taking off right there. We're taking off where you guys have basically just got a room, and you guys are such cheapskates that you guys decided not to stay in the room and to actually not pay for a meal, but to actually do your own. What is it? Feast.
Yeah.
You basically create this other dimension. You're a fort. Go inside and have your feast while you're in the room at the same time, but not there physically. You just kind of step to the door and you're somewhere else feasting, having a good time. You guys get all drunk, have a good time. Are you in the room, or did you go with the party, Willie? Roll your percentiles.
Me and the
Oh yeah, I'm with the party, aren't I? Woohoo!
android stayed.
The question why I'm asking this is, do you hear what's going on, or are you with the group? So,
Well, if he's with the android, then yeah.
44.
we'll say that. Are you too preoccupied with the android to notice what's going on?
Do we hear gears grinding, a piston hitting, or do we just hear massive squeaking?
You're in a different dimension.
We're not discussing this.
Chris is like, nope, don't talk about it.
I'm
Currently,
assuming
you and the
there's some
android were
fluid.
involved in too deep a conversation
You were pre-engaged.
to notice
Nope.
what was happening all around.
Now is it gonna
Okay.
she gonna change me? Am I getting changed?
We'll get into that later, some other time.
Ah.
Okay. Right now, she's basically getting to know you better. Remember what I said, that she wasn't open to a relationship because of all the shit she's been through. Okay? So she's
Not that
literally
way.
getting to know you. And you were so involved with like helping her understand you and all that you didn't
Just
notice.
helping her make
You didn't
sense.
notice the screams. You didn't notice the fires
The what?
and everything else that was happening.
I noticed the fires. Come on. I can see through walls and that crap.
Your focus was on her, Willie. Okay. It was like the whole, like, you're looking at her and fireworks are going off, you don't even notice it, you know, that type of thing.
He literally has them going off.
Okay. So,
Wait.
we're going to take off with you guys exiting the room.
We gotta roll see who goes first.
So,
Who is it? Probably Joey.
you have to beat a 14.
I didn't do it.
Neither of them beat it. 9 and a 7.
Action point.
You said we could do
Still didn't work.
Would you roll?
I'm 11.
Wow.
Unless Dax would like to give me a reroll.
He would not. Yes, he would. You know that guy.
Would he
go
even
first?
be able to?
Yes.
So wait a
Never mind.
minute. I thought we were in a
What'd you
town.
get?
3 times.
7.
We're in the town of Stormhold.
We're on an
Picture-
island that's surrounded
Picture
by
Tropical Island with resorts and stuff on it.
But you just said
The closer you get into the center of the...
streams or the fires.
You guys are inside the.
Yeah.
Your dimension.
I'm alluding to stuff that I haven't gotten to yet.
Right.
So, you
I'm jumping ahead of you.
you basically, as you guys are stepping out, does something happen.
Hi guys.
Seeing as
We've
how
been
it's
all
my
night.
turn,
Where you guys been all night?
Where exactly am I? Oh, never mind. I guess we'll figure that out.
Because I'm not up here to skip my turn. I'm going down.
okay, so who got higher? You?
7 and 7. It's the
Okay.
same. Roll again.
I got 7.
You should roll that 7.
5.
Roll
I'm
again, Bobby.
changing this.
What do you got, Bobby?
Everything below 15.
17.
17.
Okay, we're going Bobby's way. Okay. You step out of the doorway from the extra-dimensional space. As you do this, you notice the Warforged machine and the android holding hands and talking very deeply to each other. And as this happens, you hear this high-pitched...
I hear it really loud because I got my head in my ears are really
Right.
sensitive.
So,
And you look to your right, and out of the window, you see the fire elemental ship that was docked, heading towards the hotel, about to crash into it. What are you doing?
I might be able to make a fortress around.
he's recording.
She's just gonna, bye Willie, and steps back through the doorway.
Hey, Willie. Sure, man. Hey, guys,
Technically,
don't
wouldn't
walk
he be fine?
Yeah, I just walked through.
No.
I jumped through the window, full slides. Hi!
Everything but that room gets demolished.
As you look at the ship, you can see the ship has not been damaged. It's just heading straight for the resort in the inn called the
She's
Lucky
going to
Fellow.
pray. She would hurt to religion. Please don't let that shit hit us.
It's on a collision course. It's just
Why
literally,
would you
it's
go
literally
flying,
just gonna crash
Is
right
it
into.
under power or?
It is under power. Kind of looks at the window and goes,
Oh shit.
"Fuck!" And Willie's like, "Huh?" And he looks over and he goes, "Fuck!" Reflex. It's not your turn yet. Reflex saves to dive in to the extra dimensional space before the ship hits the inn.
All of us?
Just the people outside. So her, you,
What's
and
that
the android.
noise?
Would that include me?
No.
I'm
Is that-
assuming you went with everybody else. Because Dax is in there.
Oh yeah, and I went in your shadow. So.
The trees in there.
71.
Okay. You need it.
Air domain.
Please don't be high.
Right there. No, it was right there. Right there.
How?
15.
Okay.
Now when it
So,
says wall,
You and her literally just dive towards the doorway.
Well, she
And Bobby
died.
Joe is
See
in
him
the
roll.
middle of the doorway, just kind of looking out like, oh crap. She doesn't even see you guys coming towards her.
We just
Yeah.
talking around.
Cat-like reflex. She jumps out of the way.
it says water, wind effects, aerial smoke, creature, and gases. Would it work with the ship or no?
No.
No.
No?
You're
Then we'll
like, what if we...
Bobby, get out of the way. We're coming through.
Wait, a wall. I can do
You
that.
literally push her into the doorway, because she's not paying attention.
I was thinking maybe she could use control winds, but because that's
No.
level 5.
I could seriously just make a wall.
You
with my
you
bait.
hit her so hard though. She has to do a reflex save to catch herself from slamming into the wall in the extra dimensional fortress.
She'd be sticking to me then. I'm extra sparks are longer now.
What?
You're basically like football. You just kind of grab her face and push her
Hey,
into the doorway.
Willie? Is that just because the android's here?
No.
Are you a little thorny?
Oh, bye.
Okay, I got reflex, right?
Reflex save.
save.
What is it?
20.
I got
You got a net 20.
No, roll again.
I just want to see. Okay.
Just to confirm it.
It was low anyways, but yeah.
Okay.
She got a 2 on confirming. Hey, net 20 though, and that's only because you rolled right off of my sheet. I guess my sheet lucky.
Okay. So
Like hell it is. I rolled a 1.
Robert.
You were literally going to hit the wall so hard that you were going to take damage.
Wait, what do
But
I
you were
do?
able to basically flip
Roll. I want you to
and like bounce off the wall with your legs.
There we go.
I can't do this.
Right. So you land. As that happens, you just see fire in wood and stone and metal just come through the doorway. As the ship collides with the ground and
Holy crap. 120. 21.
and the inn. So you realize if you step to the doorway, you might, because you guys were on the second floor. If you step to the doorway, you might fall because the inn is possibly not there anymore, and there might be a crater.
You heard
And
like
you look
a
out, and you look out, and you see the city on fire. Literally, the doorway. Okay, if this is the crater, this used to be the inn.
Right.
You guys were on the second story. Here's the doorway.
So it's under us?
way under us.
I can't help us.
If you literally step through the
we can
doorway, you're
fly.
like,
We're fine.
Oh yeah, we can
Unless-
fly.
she has. Yeah, it's not like you're in the Outlands anymore. You all have your special. If she steps to the doorway, she's like, ah!
For 80.
We'll have an hour to catch her
Yeah.
before she hits the ground.
She's like,
I got airwalk.
Are you kidding me?
Oh
We'll have an hour before she falls 5 feet.
yeah. So you do have airwalk. So
Just-
you. So are you just gonna step to the doorway and just walk over?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll
yeah.
we'll say this was the inn right here, and now this is a crater starting to be filled with water.
Oh my god! If she did the shadow clone thing, it would be raining cats.
Where's the? What
Okay,
about the? Sorry.
I am gonna make the water that's filled up the crater to put out fires in the town.
Hey, that'd be awesome.
So you're going to control water.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Wait, what about the hurricane all around us?
Yeah.
I got that fixed when we get to my turn.
No, that's what I mean. Would she be grabbing the water from the hurricane, or would she grab the hurricane and put it in?
I think we need to go back to his gesture.
It's a good question.
There's literally a hurricane walling this place practically.
I got that covered when we get to my turn.
Why
No,
don't we?
it-
Why
nothing
don't
wrong with
we? Why don't we start with an insight check? You need it.
Nope.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Please give her a reroll.
She didn't get it.
Can I get
She-
a roll?
She said, "I'll just do it."
Okay, you needed a 63 on the insight check. Does Dax give you a roll? Yes, he does.
I got a 19.
Hey, sick.
Okay. From your knowledge of being a monk and an elementalist, because literally the elves that built this island, that made this desolate island into an oasis, they're elves with the ability to control wind and water. What you notice immediately is that whoever was keeping the hurricane out is no longer keeping the hurricane out.
See, I got this covered when it's my turn.
I'm not
So-
really worried about the hurricane. We can just fly.
You see the water rushing in,
You're flying the hurricane.
and it's starting to
You're
snow.
flying in the hurricane.
You also notice people around the city, and even in the crater, starting to get back up, and just starting to stumble around.
Oh god.
I swear, if we're dealing with another magical fallout, Chris.
No. Zombies.
That's the same thing.
Undead. Yeah.
So they're undead then.
You're not exactly sure, but you get the impression that they couldn't have survived this crash.
She would smell her.
Yeah, it would
No,
smell
she
the
wouldn't-
I would
wouldn't-
smell like
yeah.
decaying flesh, wouldn't
No, but flesh takes time to decay, so you wouldn't smell it very well.
All you smell is burning flesh.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that are standing back up are on fire. And they don't look like they're in a hurry to get anywhere. So,
So
you're,
yeah,
like,
zombie.
that should be hurting. He should be running somewhere into the water, but he's not. He's actually running in the opposite direction.
I? Okay, I said
Walks
guys
into a
for dealing-
wall.
I said guys for dealing with undead.
Do you see any survivors?
Is this because we showed up in the town?
Yeah.
'Cause I just want to say,
Oh please
I
don't tell
wanted
me
to
it's
buy
my
some
fault.
stuff.
This is where my character pokes her head out the door and goes, "Look, there's a town to save."
You look down into the crater, and you see a small.
Is it the sorcerer? I wouldn't be surprised if it was the sorcerer bouncer.
You see a small boy,
Oh well.
about a small elf boy, about 10 years old,
Yeah, that's a vampire.
trying to climb up the side of the crater with a couple of other people following him. And he stops, looks behind him, screams, and continues to try and climb faster.
Never mind. You might have a point.
Okay, since I can airwalk, I walk over to him, grab his hand, and pull him out of the crater.
Would you walk or
You
run?
can't. It's not. You're just falling like this. You can fall so slow it wouldn't work.
No,
I
that's
can
slow
air
fall.
walk.
She actually can air walk or run.
I got airwalk.
She can literally run or walk on air.
Air becomes hard under her feet.
It's
so
kind of like me with ice.
All I'm thinking of is
So you
bleach.
do your full movement, run up, grab him, and pull him up into the air with you. Okay,
It's like water walk.
you're kind of getting scared the shit out of him as you grab him out of the air.
I just felt it's
Flying
okay.
kitty.
Okay, so you try and calm him down.
Yeah, I go, it's okay, I'm just here to help,
Okay, so
So I do that. Just pet him. You're a cat, or have him pet you.
Yes!
you're like, it's okay, it's okay.
Pet the kitty.
You just kind of grab his hand and start stroking your head with it, and he's like, "Is it okay?"
Well, you said 10-year-old, so I'm thinking.
Yeah, that would work. I call him now without the pet me.
he's like, "Ooh, super kitty, super kitty." Right, so you're calming him down.
Don't you dare
I'll
say
say because you started to use your feline charm that you don't have to roll a check to calm him down.
Actually, wait a minute. Stop. Why are you using airwalk? You have wings.
Okay, you're welcome, I don't care.
What's that?
What season is it?
I gave her.
Hurricane season, apparently.
It's hurricane season all year round here.
It's winter.
But
It's snowing.
valid point.
It's not only hurricane. It's unusual here because the weather here is below zero.
We're being in trouble,
and hurricane all year round.
So it's winter.
It's winter.
but warm on the inside. Oh, then again, hurricane has that. weird
Literally, the
change.
elves that control water and air here literally turn this island into an oasis by pushing the storm away and the raging seas away.
I pull him
Use your
up,
full movement, pull them up.
and run at me.
As you get closer to the people who are following the boy. Insight check.
16.
Sick.
Okay. You need.
Would you drop on it?
Ooh, what'd you get total?
Nothing.
16 plus what?
Insight.
Insight, my insight's 35. So it'd be, yeah, my insight's 35.
51.
So 35 plus 16 is 51, what you said.
Because she's close up, does she get an advantage?
No. So you basically just look at these people that are following, and you can tell that they're elves. One of them is on fire. The other two aren't making any noise. They're just climbing up towards you and the boy. And as you pull him up into the air, you see them just kind of stop underneath of you guys and just look up and reach.
Hey, wait a minute.
No, you can't pet the kitty.
Did you share the information with us before you left, or did
Yeah.
you just kind of jump? Yeah, just leap out of the room and not tell us anything.
I told you, it looks like I'm dead.
I mean, what's going on?
Honestly, you didn't roll high enough. You needed a 58.
Oh.
So you're thinking that it's probably some kind of undead, but you're not exactly sure what kind yet.
I shot back to the room with some kind of undead.
So,
That's all I know.
Yeah, but did I'm asking more specifically? Did you tell us there's this enormous
Big
drop? Yeah.
do they open their mouths?
Of course they do.
As you look around the city, you notice that the city is starting to get covered with fog.
Oh crap! So they're bringing the fog to us this time.
Oh, good. We'll be stuck here for another 9
No.
months.
No, it's
So
not the
they
fog,
just
remember?
look up
I
at
even
you,
explained that.
reaching, and they just open their mouths and go. And as they open their mouths, you see this fog start to come out of their mouths and float up towards
We're
you.
still safe. We're inside our room.
Whose idea was it to come here?
I believe it was yours, Shannon.
No, I'm.
It is the end of your turn. That is, we're gonna end you right there where you're about to to get hit with the fog. You're not sure what it does.
Robert.
Robert.
Well, I was wondering if she told us about the crater because that does affect what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm assuming
technically they would. Yeah, well, we would.
you
know
guys
they
are
would call
still
fire.
in communication. So yes,
Okay. Well,
I'm assuming that she would tell you.
I'm going to
Oh.
throw out a level 3.
One thing we got to tell our whole crew. What's her name doesn't have a ring.
Mm.
The android
Yeah,
is
the
part
android
of it.
has a ring, so she's officially a part of the guild.
Who decided to go into that?
We
It was
did.
it was unanimous.
Obviously, it wasn't.
Yeah. He ruled it!
Obviously, it was. It was unanimous with everybody that showed up.
That's not unanimous.
Yeah, it's not a unanimous decision.
Honestly, she has been a very valuable asset for that matter, and I'm not just saying that for
After
Willie's
she
case.
took over our ship and tried
very
to kill us with
accurate.
her
I just
own
picture
ship.
this
Okay,
very.
think about it. I tried killing her too.
I just picture this very sexy redhead mechanic working on her ship, and Willie's like, oh, I like you to work on me.
She will later!
I like mechanics.
Did you say she will later?
So,
Oh boy.
you can work on my nuts and bolts anytime.
Apparently, Will has my.
I'm not apologizing for this.
We're able to take a thing. You could do that every 2 minutes is your turn.
Dude, whatever 2 minutes.
Right.
Okay,
Turn,
so
you get 2 minutes to your turn.
before I
Oh.
leave the room, I'm gonna throw incomprehensible wings out. Master of Air, more or less. I think it's level 3 at best.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that.
All right.
19.
So I'm gonna exit and
So this time
Stay
is like
in the
the red
air.
spot on Jupiter.
just
Always
drop.
storming.
And I'm gonna. I guess I'm gonna kind of evaluate and determine what needs to be done first and what should be dealt with first. You know.
Okay.
So I guess
So
an insight.
we'll say perception first, then insight.
Yeah, 17. Or 39.
You need my favorite number.
69.
No, I didn't make that.
Okay, so you don't notice it. So insight check. Insight. You realize immediately it's the same thing that she realizes, that the storm, whoever was holding back the storm, is no longer holding back the storm. So this island is about to get hit with a hurricane from hell. On top of that, there's something wrong with the city. There is what appears to be a fog covering the entire city now. And she's currently about to get hit with this fog. It's so dense that you no longer see the people or the fires for that matter.
Well, shit.
So then I should deal with the fog first.
Possibly.
Gust of wind.
Yeah, you just did the whole Master of Wind thing. Blow it all away.
Master of Air.
Same freaking difference.
No, it gives me incomprehensible wings.
What did you
so
get
I
on
do
the
that
one on the dice?
For the master,
No, for the insight.
for the insight, I got a 9 or a 6. We're not sure.
When you cast it, I'll tell you.
Okay. So. $13.
What level is it?
I'm looking. Hold on. I don't even know what spell I'm going to actually use.
Gust of wind.
Well, Gust of Wind is like a low level spell.
Why not Cyclone it? Put it all into the thing and then have it blow into the
We're
hurricane.
using that. Why don't you
That way, when the hurricane's dissipated away,
I
we
have
can just
too much
eliminate
action.
2 evils with 1.
But I'm actually
I would work it. You know what I mean?
Control Winds is a level 5 spell. So I think I'll use that.
Alright. I know it's wondering what she's going to do.
So,
It's level 5, you said?
yeah, I got a 13 plus
Alright.
70. So 83.
Okay. You got it. Okay. So, right now, you're able to push the fog out of the city and into the hurricane. But you're currently not alone able to hold back the hurricane. So this eye of the storm is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So you push this fog out of the city. And as you're pushing the fog out of the city, you just see all these people walking around with this fog coming out of their mouths. And you're continually you're going to have to maintain this.
So I have to concentrate.
You have to concentrate to keep this out of the city, to keep it flowing out of the city.
You're gonna have to stay rooted.
Otherwise, they're just going to fill it up again. Because you see all these people all throughout the city just walking around aimlessly with this fog just floating out of their mouths and flowing out of their mouths.
But he's not keeping the hurricane, correct?
No.
No, I am not. If you would like to help me.
We'll say you have...
Oh no.
Roll a D10.
6 rounds.
What did you roll?
4, 6 rounds.
So,
Like one person or just each?
no,
The whole
around.
group. Oh, okay, round.
Right, around.
You realize immediately that whoever was holding back this storm was probably a they, and they were powerful.
Okay, so we need a they that's powerful.
Chris, your goal.
I'm gonna extend my arm out. You know where this is going. Don't look at me like this.
No clue. But you
Well, that probably starts like that. You
My
know,
brother
Good job. Can you make me more strict?
from
I was
Asgard.
just gonna get juice.
Oh,
Oh,
Thor?
okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you're
Never mind then.
hold your hand out, eh?
you have a
Calling
brother?
for it.
It's calling for the hammer.
No, time out. Hold on.
Yeah, can I have a focus?
Versus brother.
No, it's not his brother. It's basically
His cousin?
No, my
His
brother,
friend.
as in my friend.
my friend.
Hey, Chris, can I just have
Our friend from Asgard.
He
There's
said,
like-
yeah, John.
Alright, maybe. I'm not.
No. Maybe no.
You hear a
You leaving?
Let's see what I'm gonna see.
Incoming.
where are you standing?
I'm not sure.
You're kind
Are
of
you
floating
still in
the
the room?
Yeah.
Yes. You're kind of floating in the air, and you got your hand out the door. That's not a good idea.
I'm not floating.
It's gonna hurt.
Does it break the spell getting to you?
You got
I mean,
your
if I've
hand.
got my hand
your
out the
hand's
door, it
out
doesn't
the
have
door.
to break the spell.
I see, that's okay.
Correct?
It comes to you in a straight line
Right.
from wherever it is.
Or
Right.
orange or punch.
It might not come through the doorway.
Ah, it's one
Orange or punch.
Juicy juice.
Good luck. It comes straight through the door. So you grab it.
I love you.
I want to
It's
see.
gonna whirl it over my head.
Oh,
Okay.
you said you got to pick it up.
It went into my hand.
Yeah, it comes to him sometimes.
Oh,
It just went.
Because Thor's like, hey, you can borrow my hammer.
It's one of the cool things you
You
got
have
when
a
it.
serious talk about your character?
You can see later.
I just see this dragon, and this little hammer flies into the room, and the dragon grabs a hold of it, and it's like, whoo! This big hammer now, and you're like,
I'm not dragging right now, though.
I know.
I'm not helping, so.
Alright,
I
this
didn't
dragon.
know you could
Hey, guess what? Busting this spell up good.
So what are you doing?
Whirling above my head to use it as controlled play, pretty much.
Okay.
Flying into the air Sort of middle of the storm.
So you're flying
And
out the door.
using it to channel control weather.
John, I didn't even
A
know
godlike item
Huh?
using to channel control weather.
All right.
Okay, just making
You
sure
said I'm finally showing.
we're clear on this.
Yep.
Yeah, muscle.
Shatter. Thor shows up.
No, I got
Broke
one.
my
It's
hammer?
just, that's not finally showing it, so just-
That
That
would
was
be
a
funny.
mistake.
What do I need? What is
How many levels
Look,
above you is
There's a pack now, so listen.
I know. It is a
What,
level
are you
7.
leaving? No, I'm swinging.
You're
it?
waiting.
No, I'm talking the storm.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying the spell is a level 7.
Is it good?
Hey, Chris. You might have the last pack open.
So here.
Damn, I wanted it.
I'm actually feeling better. Physically.
Actually, it's like crazy.
I know, right? Isn't that cool?
So everybody knows I'm looking into the balls in the camera, and it actually looks like a crater on the camera view.
Sick. Well, it is blending.
110 total.
Then I've got to get for a spell attack.
Top of my side.
Push that over.
I have 2 souls randomly.
So you're using some of your spell points, basically?
No, my extra 5 to push that over.
Yeah, but I mean, do they remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just sees me. I remember why I hate you. The burning
So that being said,
You only killed them all. I mean,
that's
passion. This one.
that's 91. I can pump another 21 into that, so I would be at 112.
Barely. Okay. So, with Thor's help, you just see lightning come off the hammer as you're spinning it and going into the storm, and it's keeping the storm at bay right now.
But I have to concentrate.
You have to concentrate.
Oh, shit. So it is gonna have to take multiple of us just to get it out.
He's pretty much controlling the fog. I'm
He's getting it
controlling-
out. You're stopping the storm. What do you do? Well, actually, it's Willie's turn.
You guys fight.
Willie, what do you do?
I feel like when this is down, I'm just gonna come down with a cap and just boom. Just make this a real crater.
You're like, when you're done,
Oh, you're
it just
falling.
disappears, and you're like, ah! What do you do?
What can I do? What happens?
We're stuck.
looking at it.
You're basically standing at the doorway. You see him fly out of the doorway with the hammer, fly up into the storm, and you're like, what the fuck? And you just see
Andrew.
lightning coming off of him, and he's like, holding the storm at bay. You're basically just sitting in this doorway looking down at this crater and the rest of the city that's
I'm kind
got kind of little wisps of fog coming out of the city and going into the storm.
You see me.
Peter, can you friggin' fly?
You see me sitting above or just next to the doorway, just kind of floating there, locked up in place.
She says to you,
So you're a tree that's being held stiff.
I don't fly, she says.
Hop on!
Oh God.
Let's go! Alright.
We'll save, Willie.
Of course you would say hop on. You want me to roll Freeman?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, not will save. Let's say insight check.
Insight sucks.
She looks at you and says, "Squirt some oil on it first."
Hey.
It's nice.
Okay, hold on. Insight. Seriously, I'm like trying to find it.
Hey, what is the dice? I can calculate from here.
Insight. Your insight's a 4?
Next
Yeah,
time we go to
34.
a city,
It's 34?
I'm
Yeah,
buying.
30.
Oh. Well, you got an 11. So that would make it
45.
45. No?
You needed a 54.
Oh, shit. Yeah, flipping around.
She's looking at you, and you see fear in her eyes, in the android's eyes, in Anna's eyes. She's afraid to step through that door, and you're like, "Come with me. I'll carry you, fly like Superman." And she's like,
That's why you're so afraid?
"You gonna answer?"
I throw her through the door.
Does she want to admit it?
Does he have to do diplomacy?
Please no. My mind's 5 diplomacy. door.
Her fear is like
She's saying no.
thunder or something like that.
I swear to God. Because the cat was able to jump out there easy.
The cat's
She
overly
is
brave.
afraid of electricity.
I'm standing here then.
Liquid metal. I see this. Okay.
She's still a machine.
Yeah, but the liquid metal thing, she's the perfect conductor.
You shouldn't have rest of my turn.
So, supercharge.
Wait, what?
Blow up.
There's something
Nice.
here. It's almost kind of the rest of my turn.
So she's just looking at you. And
Okay,
she
well,
just
say
grabs a hold. She's that scared.
We go backwards.
Wait a minute, but she's a machine, so she wouldn't be shaking. She'd be vibrating.
Damn it,
You're like.
Wrong place, wrong time.
You guys go ahead. We're gonna stay in the room. As Willie just kind of shuts the door.
Damon, get out! We went backwards to the...
I can't. I couldn't help it.
Willie's about to shut the door and he realizes you two are still in the room. And he goes, "After you."
Precious will blow out. Guys,
You'd see me there and be like,
Hey,
you
hey,
need some
quick.
shades? I can help.
Who's there? Who's there?
This is
Who's
We'll
in the
make
room?
this a
this was the
sadist
moment
scene.
my character would lean out the door as they're all falling and go, "Anybody got a video camera?"
I'll be like, I'll make this a sadist scene. Here you go, Willie. I'm here for you, buddy. Hold it up for you.
Somebody has to retrieve. All I'm saying is somebody has to retrieve the penetrating oil.
Here, I was just gonna fund the guild. I mean,
We're helping you with this, alright? We're gonna make an industry out of it.
Machine on machine action.
that's what we're just gonna bear.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think anybody
Willie's comforting the android right now. What
I don't know which one's covering the other more, but okay.
Sort of like when you're at a scary movie, she goes, "Ah!" grabs a hold of you. Sort of like that.
Yeah, I can become bigger too.
Wow. Oh, wow. Hey, baby, check this out.
Great! Check this turret go to a cannon, baby.
He just went down. You okay, Robert?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
alright.
That's funny.
Okay, get abs because of you. Oh, shit!
Oh my god. I just picture this robot going, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small. Anyways,
Once again, piston action.
Anyways, what is your character doing?
what are you doing, John?
Right now, I'm trying his best to, like, not die from laughter. At least I'm not.
Hey, it was a joke. Jenny, you gotta roll.
How many jokes was that? Because I'm sure she failed on every one of them at this point.
Oh god.
I'm
She
not in
failed.
the room, fortunately.
Well, who you smacking first? I'd say Willie, because he took the cake and made all of us die.
Oh, does a 74 perhaps touch your AC?
Mine? I got 58, but I'm also able to dodge.
What are you doing? Casting a spell or hitting it?
We decided that low was
Hitting?
casting a spell, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right. High was hitting them.
I'm still able to dodge.
No, high was lacking uncontrollably.
Oh, that's right.
I'm still capable of dodging the thing, or at least doing combat reflex to it.
So, random spell?
That doesn't do
I
that.
believe so.
Okay.
I think we were using Dax's spell list.
Dodge.
D10.
Oh, I had about shit myself on that.
Ooh, that'd be interesting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. D10.
Hey, Robert. Sorry about that.
9.
You went down mentally flat. Hey, man. You had to say it.
So, you accidentally cast a 9th level spell.
Accidentally? It happens.
Hey, if I access my divinity again, I just have to say thank you.
And you mentally connect everybody together.
Oops.
That's a mistake.
But we're already doing that.
No, we're not.
With the rings we are.
No.
You actually have to talk to the ring. This is mental.
Yeah, you just did one of Dax's abilities.
Okay, wait a minute. This wouldn't be a problem for me, but for him it would be because the android would probably be able to see and hear everything that
So
he's
Dax-
currently...
We can all hear and see what he.
Dax appears next to you as you start to shake and your nose starts to bleed and your ears start to bleed,
Everybody's or hers?
hers first. And Dax basically just lays his hand on your shoulder. And you see him look deeply into your eyes. And he's basically talking to you in your mind, trying to help you understand. Yeah, he's trying to help you do this because normally this would kill the average person.
And he's used to it.
He's used to it, yeah. Because you're basically over. You remember when
You overwhelmed your
yeah,
mind.
you know when
What's that?
when Xavier basically went into the room that allows him to see everybody in the world.
Transformer noise.
That's basically what's happened to you. You don't have the helmet to control it. You don't really have the ability either to control it. So you're just getting bombarded with all this stuff.
Right.
So Dax helps calm your mind and helps you focus. He's basically your helmet, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
What?
Don't ask for what he wants in return, though.
I won't.
He
What
just
did I
kind
do?
of reaches into your pocket.
I'm like, I've met this problem before. I'm not.
So,
So she's vibrating. It's like, ah. She is.
is there something in particular you'd like to find, or someone in particular you would like to find?
Is the bartender still alive?
That's the question.
What?
The bartender was a spy.
I'm pretty sure the
Concentrate
bouncer.
hard. Focus.
I'm actually sure the bouncer is still alive because he was able to cast the level 9 spell easily.
Was the bouncer or the bartender that we were?
The bouncer was the sorcerer. The bartender was the asshole.
Wasn't one of them a spy?
The bartender.
Yeah, then the bartender.
It's a double spy. Or triple spy.
Dax helps you focus, and you realize that he is no longer in this plane.
Motherfucker dropped a bomb.
Can I tell where he is?
You know,
I didn't even ask
not
this.
with this ability,
Can Dax tell where he is?
possibly.
Okay.
You want Dax to try and help?
Yes.
No,
I actually has questions
I
because
say
it
yes,
is still
you
my
say
turn.
no.
He's helping you survive something that would normally kill you. You really want him to stop?
So he basically, instead of standing behind you, he basically steps in front of you.
Okay.
In this kind of,
Yeah.
you're kind of like in this, just kind of floating in this mist, and he just kind of takes a step in front of you and says, "Hold on." And you basically grab his shoulders, and you feel yourself start moving from one plane to another plane.
Hey,
To another
where's she
plane,
going now?
to another plane, to another
Where's
plane, to
Regan?
another plane, to another plane, to another plane.
I think he
And
was
each
in the
time you hit another plane, you feel every mind
Heimdall, could we slow down?
in that.
That's
No,
awesome.
it's the ship from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So you're going to each one of these planes, and as he steps into that plane, you see him literally stand briefly there for a second, and he's literally just looking around at everybody in the plane, and then he doesn't see what you're looking for, so he steps to another plane. Where is
I don't know. Where is he?
I was actually going
If
to
you
ask
say the
something.
Outlands,
I'm gonna kill
Because
you.
remember that the sorcerer was able to block the mind?
as Jax gets to the Outlands. Oh,
As
damn
Dax
it!
appears, he goes, "Fuck! Now we're stuck." No, I'm just kidding.
Call the
Alright.
ship, and there's the brakes.
You're stuck.
Right, he is one dimension away, just like going in reverse. Hold on, Mr. Crossroad.
Beep, beep, beep.
You literally see his eyes doing that blink, like the flashing. Because isn't he like mechanized with little guys now, or not mechanized with metal?
So,
Not really.
Well, he ate that Gorgon and he got like a new armor thing.
I thought it was
he
actually-
appears.
No, he ate a Gorgon. Remember the one that had all that other stuff in it, like the Nightwalker and whatnot?
Oh yeah, because it had metallic armor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. One.
Yeah, I remember
Little
doing
bolts.
it. But I don't remember.
Well, I know Dex
So-
ate it.
You see him go from one flaming, abysmal, flaming place to a place that's mountain filled and radiant and holy.
So
And
literally-
he stops, and he goes, "This is Celestia.
Okay.
I sense him here.
Okay. How
Here there
big
is
is
justice, kindness, holy water, grace, mercy."
Ow.
And he looks at you and says, "For a spy, he is an interesting man."
It just seems like a really weird place for him to be.
Meanwhile, I'm looking down
I
at the
can't go
fog,
there.
drinking my scuba like that.
At all.
How do you think I feel?
This is the seven
You
mountain.
have a holy aura and angel wings.
This is-
You are an
I'm
oxymoron.
You currently are.
And I'm apparently now an evangelist.
You are currently
Yeah, she's a weird oxymoron.
astral projecting yourself with him
Okay.
into the seven heavens of Celestia.
Okay.
Oh dear God, please tell me she does not see you.
See who?
He knows who I'm talking about.
His father.
No.
Who?
Remember the arch enemy we made up? She does not see you, does she?
Which one are you talking about?
We and our
The
dad.
Angelus, the one that's pretty much like the Redeemer, but she's my arch enemy. She wants me dead in any sort of which way.
Oh,
We have an archie.
he does.
Oh, good news.
Would
She's
she know
part-
who she is, though?
No, but she knows who I am.
Right, she knows who you are, but you're not actually projecting.
Then she wouldn't know who I am.
No, but if she might be able to have the same abilities he does, and then go into his mind or your mind or something, then well, fuck
So,
me.
in the distance, you see a city on the edge of a cold, clear mountain lake. You see it have waterfalls. Think Babylon.
Okay.
Oh, that place is pretty.
Why don't we just think Riverdale?
Basically. Rivendell, yeah. Off of Lord of the Rings. Basically, that's where you're heading towards. It's called the city of, if I'm saying this right, Imperia.
Okay.
So he floats towards it. You're floating, basically, holding on to him.
Would she be blind?
No.
Oh, white?
She's been living with a freaking radiant aura.
Exactly,
for the
that's
last
what I mean. It's like
few years of her life.
at this,
This
point.
city, Dax basically fills you in. Well, actually, he's basically granting the knowledge as you pass through into the city. Basically, people come here from all different realms
Okay.
because these waters are able to cure any disease or any illness. So, you see him float down, which is kind of funny because it fits perfectly in with this campaign.
Now, if it can cure like illnesses and such, can it cure sins? Is he possibly here?
It is holy water, so yes, it can bless.
Here in.
It can bless, exercise,
Ow.
cure, dispel.
Ow.
I'm just not gonna step into this water because who knows what's gonna happen.
I ain't going near it.
So you
Fuck that.
this city is basically like the city of Rivendell. It's basically built on a mountainside with waterfalls and near a lake. And
I think
he basically floats down into the city towards one of the pools in like the center of town. And as you're getting closer and closer, you see the innkeeper, which basically was a human man. Strong, muscular, with scars on his face.
Yes.
And you see him being dragged towards one of these springs by his sorcerer bodyguard. And as he's being dragged towards, you notice that he is insight check.
Was he just like beaten?
Hey Chris, group momentum. It's time.
It's 53.
I haven't even done anything yet. I'm just like,
I don't think we're there. I
You
don't think we're all there. I think one for you.
needed exactly a 53. That's cool. So you notice that. What do we name him? I don't remember. The innkeeper.
I can't remember.
It's on the cards.
I don't remember.
Bartleby.
His name is
Barbosa?
We'll say Barbosa
Okay.
because that's a cool name.
Well, that's from Pirates of the Caribbean.
So you notice as you look at the sorcerer, basically his guardian, is this bald man with glasses, and he's basically dragging Barbosa. And Barbosa is this big muscular man, and you see him growing paler and paler and paler, and he dies as you're approaching.
the innkeeper.
And yes, the innkeeper. He dies, and you literally see him just kind of shake a little bit, and then he opens his eyes again. And he opens his mouth. And this fog starts to come out of his mouth. As the bald sorcerer just picks him up and tosses his ass into
Exorcism.
the river. The pool of holy water. As he does that, Barbosa starts to scream.
Now, can I tell the
Why does he scream?
Because he's currently being exercised.
essentially? Can I tell the not the innkeeper, the bodyguards like intentions? If
He's
he-
trying to save his buddy. You get that immediately from what Dax is telling you, because Dax is able to read Barbosa's mind before he dies.
So that means that his bodyguard brought him here.
To help him.
So he's not willingly here.
Barbosa isn't, no.
But if he's not willingly here,
If it's exercising,
And
that means
because
that
he-
there's demonic force.
and I'm going to be kind of honest here, a possessed person isn't willingly going to go to a holy place.
The first thing you notice is that when he turns to undead,
Okay.
he starts to take damage because he's undead. But if he was demonic and here in that body, he would immediately get exorcised and cast out.
So it's not a traditional possession.
You're not sure whether it's possession at all.
Let's focus on the bigger thing here.
I feel like it's corruption.
The bartender didn't do it.
No, let's focus on the bigger thing here. I'm still back on an exercise or a possessed person
It was also cure everything, so it might have just been a disease.
willingly come here. So how did the bodyguard?
Why is he getting dragged here? Is that what you're asking?
No. Why? How did the bodyguard? Because like
Because the bodyguard's a sorcerer.
He
and
wasn't
pretty much
possessed
do just
yet.
about anything.
The bodyguard has the ability. He's a sorcerer, so he's a powerful sorcerer. So he has the ability to interdimensional travel.
right, I got that. But
He could have knocked him out with something.
thank you. I was just gonna say, how did he confine him for the travels? Because
He wasn't yet possessed. You literally saw him get possessed.
yeah, but technically, was it a possession?
You see around Barbosa, you see him basically have like this. Actually, there is nothing around Barbosa.
It's corruption.
Nothing holding him physically. No chains, no rope, no nothing. He's literally like stiff as a board as the sorcerer is dragging him and just picks him up and throws him away. Because the sorcerer is definitely like casting some kind of spell on him to
Right, that would make sense.
immobilize him.
That helps.
That's what I already figured that.
So he throws him in the pool. Are you just going to stay and watch?
I was gonna say what happens.
Okay, so the pool bubbles, and you see the fog just come off the pool, and the light from this place, because it's like heaven, one of the heavens. Literally, it hits this fog, and it vaporizes it. You see this fog just burn.
Okay.
What color is the fog?
White.
No,
You didn't see what color it was.
I know.
I didn't say what color.
That's why I'm asking.
The fog is
purple.
It's corruption because it's abyssal.
Not necessarily.
It has to be.
Not
Because if it's
necessarily.
not a possession, that means there's no
Hey.
spirit. But
What
if
else can demons do though when you touch them?
They can control you.
Willie,
What?
what does your armor do?
Diseases.
The same thing that mine does. But I don't remember.
It poisons them.
No,
Well,
because
it-
of
it-
disease.
Yeah, it poisons and it diseases, but it does something else too.
So,
curses?
No.
literally, Barbosa basically just stands up out of the pool. The pool did three things to him. First one was true resurrection or resurrection.
It makes sense because he's dead.
Second one was cured whatever he had. Third thing it did to him was forgive and bless any sins he had.
Okay.
Okay, so from what I'm getting from this, it wasn't the bartender. The fog color indicates that it is an abyssal thing. So who do we know that doesn't like us that likes abyssal?
The entire underworld.
Hi.
That's a little bit
The one
broader than I
rebel
was
right
aiming for.
More.
Oh, it'd be funny if something.
Please name an underworld god that we've yet to piss off.
There's
Taylor. Tarzu.
Where's my dad's boss at?
That's
So-
since he's dead.
As he walks out of the pool, you see him crying. This
Okay.
big hunk of a man, all scarred in his face, naked as a jaybird. Because literally,
Happens.
when he throws him in the pool, it literally disintegrates all of his armor,
Okay.
I am
like
not going-
acid.
I am not going in
Happens.
there. I'm not going to
So that means that whatever he was wearing was probably not good.
Stolen? Or do you think just evil?
Just
Evil
evil
armor.
equipment, probably.
Out group went out.
Or it could have been because I touched.
So he steps out of the pool. His buddy, bald
Do you think it's my fault
sorcerer,
because I
just
got
kind
him with the
of throws his robe around him,
It's you.
sits him down,
Not too sure.
and starts to basically.
Sob.
No, he basically stands back up and he starts to basically summon more equipment for his master.
Okay.
He basically starts to summon clothes and armor and stuff like that. You see just stuff start to appear out of nowhere. So he's like Doctor Strange, just opening portals, reaching through them. He pulls something out, drops it, reaches through another portal, drops it.
I just realized we're missing the bigger picture here. If the bartender was evil, and the spy, and all this good stuff, and the sorcerer is his servant,
Mhm.
what does that make him? Why would a good person work for an evil person?
vacuum.
Lots of different reasons.
Friends, dead.
Maybe he owes them something. You never know. Or maybe he has leverage on him.
This is the
Maybe
moment,
he has his sister locked up in a room and says, "You're gonna work for me. I'm
this
gonna
is
kill
the
your
moment
sister."
I look at Dax and go, why?
Does the sorcerer still have the mind thing on the bartender, or
He has it on himself, but not Barbosa. Dax can't read his mind right now. He can read Barbosa's.
Yeah,
that's why I did the intimidation thing?
So, Dax looks at you and says, in order to communicate with them and ask him questions, we actually have to come here.
Oh, that's a dimensional.
Do you want to for now?
Yeah, what the hell? Let's go.
I'm not.
Did you just
You
leave
can
the
stay over
party?
there.
Took the frog with me.
I'm gonna stay right where all
We
the
need
plague
help
disease.
over here,
freaking-
and you're leaving the party.
I'm trying to figure out how to cure the disease. Let's go with it.
Dax says, it's a good thing I'm able to interdimensional travel. Because I'm not sure if our ship is still in one piece.
I was actually
Our
going to
ship's
ask
made
that.
of adamantium.
And he says, okay. And he just kind of blinks his eyes, and you materialize in Celestia.
What was that?
Send down the
Their
stairs.
neighbors. And as you're standing there in front of Barbosa and his bodyguard's just literally like pulling stuff out of, portals. Just kind of
Bam.
and then you guys just materialize in front of him, and he just kind of drops the last thing he was pulling out and looks at you and Dax and says,
What did we do now?
Last thing was everywhere.
"No beef."
Where's the meat?
And he goes, "It's not my fault, not his fault. He might be able to fill you in on what maybe happened.
That's what I was gonna say. We're more curious
I'm just
about...
trying to save his ass, because
No, we watched that. We're good.
I owe him my life," that's basically what it says.
And then he opens the portal and steps through it.
For what?
Goodbye.
Doesn't he even just faces away?
No beef.
He
Didn't
look,
like
he the sorcerer looks at you and says, "Barbosa saved my soul. For an evil man, he's done at least one good thing in his life."
Did it happen to be an underworld demon that you saved your life from?
He says, "It's a long story, maybe for another time."
Oh, I assure you, there's many long stories in our history.
So Barbosa just kind of looks up
Look
at
the
you
tree
like
over here.
like
I'll tell you a
he's
story.
he's kind of got this smile on his face. He just looks at you like he's never been happier. He looks up at you and goes, "You're kind of cute for a drow.
Yeah, it's a really long story.
Bitch slap him. Bitch slap him.
You're kind of shiny."
Yeah, I've heard that story.
Dax
before.
looks at you and goes, "Yeah, I know. I kind of resisted helping her all the time because you got golden scales growing off of you. Remember?"
And then he goes, oh, damn, not this time.
Have you heard about my Lord and Savior, Lilith?
Oh my god! Seriously.
She's a
Have you heard
terrible-
about-
Don't do it! Don't do it!
Anytime she talks about where they
Dax is gonna be like, yeah.
they have to roll a fortitude save. If you fail, she can do some bad shit.
No, I can only calm them, command them, enrage them, or mentally crush them.
Yeah. Which one of those is good?
I was gonna go.
Calm.
I was gonna go with calm.
25% chance.
Okay,
That-
so
that's
Dax,
when the
Dax,
partner
as soon
goes,
as you
"You're
open
on
your
your
mouth and start talking, Dax
Right.
hears your thought
Thanks.
coming and he goes, la 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 la
Comes
la
back
la.
to the city, sees
And you
us
start
going
talking.
My guy is over at the place. I feel disturbed.
The sorcerer fails the save. So what do you want to do to him? Call him?
I'm just gonna call him.
Okay.
Because he's
So like,
very
wow, that's so interesting. Tell me more. And you're like, good. We're on the same page.
Tell me more.
So what are you gonna ask him?
Well, if they happen to know what's going on with the city and how to fix it.
So what the sorcerer tells you is that when you guys basically went up to your room and what he thought went to bed, basically.
Not buying the debate.
The city, after everybody, he basically sits you down and starts to tell you what sounds like a ghost told you.
Speaking of
This
ghosts,
is why we can't have nice things.
So he sits you down and he starts to explain that like everybody in the inn was just sitting around eating their evening meal, and all of a sudden people started to die at their tables. And then just get back up and start breathing this mist and start attacking the people who didn't. Did he notice it? No. Did Barbosa notice it? No, but Barbosa did. Yeah. So the sorcerer basically stands up and says, it was around dinner time. Everybody was eating, and all of a sudden, people started dying.
Okay.
And he's like, I have no idea what was going on. There's just some evil presence started to manifest, and this weird fog started to come out, and the people who didn't change got hit with this fog, and they went nuts.
So how was he not possessed, taken over, or whatever this is?
So that's all the sorcerer knows. Barbosa, sitting there kind of with his head down, chimes up and says, the only thing I think he says, the last thing I remember is eating dinner.
Okay.
And I bit into a loaf of bread.
I could have some
But again, I asked,
really deep
how did
meat.
the bodyguard manage to escape without being affected if it affected everybody else?
As soon as he noticed,
Because as soon as he noticed everything was happening.
You want the rest of this?
Okay, so picture the bodyguard basically standing there while Barbosa's eating. And then he's looking around, all of a sudden people start dying. My first instinct would be like,
Bodies.
let's get the fuck out of here.
Bye.
So he
My
literally
first
he
instinct.
probably would just grab, touch him, and just teleport somewhere safe. And then he probably teleported from that, wherever that safe place was, to here once he realized what was happening. Basically, the sorcerer explains to you, I don't know what caused it, but this is some kind of disease that's literally killing people and making them zombies.
Were the people, all of the people that were affected at first, were they eating
Oh,
bread by
it's not a
chance?
disease, it's a plague.
Are armor going to give somebody a plague?
Yeah, you know, from 1500s.
He's not sure if they were all
The
eating
Black
bread at the
Plague?
same time.
No, not the Black Plague.
I'm just really hoping it wasn't me.
Nobody?
No,
Oh, wow.
I'm serious. I don't know if it
remember
wasn't me.
plagues
Some
at all,
rotten bread.
sorry.
Moses.
Oh.
So,
Final plague.
death of the firstborn?
Yeah.
That wasn't a plague, though, was it?
That would explain, that would explain why it was so limited. To
So,
people.
Dax goes, do we have enough information? Should we go back? They probably need us.
Yeah, probably an
Ask
idea.
how to computer.
I still haven't done my thing yet.
So, Dax says, can you make holy water?
No.
I can't either.
Should we,
Make what?
I have
Can you purify?
flasks, I think.
If she can purify, then she can just make the water.
Yeah, I have a few flasks.
Dax says, I might be able to sneeze some flaming snot on people, maybe see if that
Well,
cures it.
no.
I can get rid of it. I can spit acid on him.
I'm gonna
Oh,
ask him if he thinks it's safe, since I'm a dark elf and all, to stick my hand in the water
No,
to fill the flask.
don't do it. Why do you keep
Are they
Well, you're a nature person. You're not.
Stay right there. Don't move back.
Not
And
yet.
I can get
We're physically on another plane now.
Yeah, but
You said
technically,
Jax could transcend.
dark
Transcend
elf.
flame.
He has
Not
to
really.
travel to them
Forces
first.
of black magic, but that's about it. And it's not even in black magic.
But he's not in his astral form right now.
We are physically.
He
dark.
can't find people on other
So in
planes
the case,
unless he
Radio
goes there
Aura would
first
be
with his
hurting all
mind.
the time.
Oh, gotcha.
And then when they went there, after he found which one it was, because he went through all of them basically to find him.
Hence the Heimdall comment.
Yeah, and then he
Yeah.
basically brought her there with him.
Robert.
So-
There was a plague in the 1600s.
You gonna scoop up some water?
Well, I'm asking him if he thinks it's safe.
Red, it's bad wheat.
My
hand!
who are you asking?
Dex.
Dax. Dax looks and goes,
I don't know.
Try it. Let's find out.
you see him just starting to probe your mind like, okay, what have you done wrong? Not a good idea.
Wait, she still has a god in her, though. Don't you? Like a piece of a god?
Yeah, but it's a demo.
Still, though.
Yeah, she's
wouldn't
still
that keep...
sinned.
Yeah, but wouldn't that have, like, some ability helping her purify?
Why? But see,
So Dax looks at you and says, holy water does one of two things to somebody.
Oh, good.
It either kills them
Oh, good.
or it blesses them.
Well, theoretically, I can't die, so how does it kill me?
He's like, I'm not sure what would happen there.
Well,
see,
probably
But he
like-
says,
You're-
you have to sincerely regret and
Something tells me you don't.
regret what you've done. And he's looking at you like, yeah, plant a few trees.
Probably not.
Probably not a good idea. But, you know,
Just draw. Change your
he
name.
basically looks at you and says, we may have killed some people intentionally, but some people accidentally. And he looks at you and says, it's harder to forgive yourself than it is someone else. He says, do you forgive yourself?
Sure.
Hi, laddie. I do.
I'm getting there.
That was kind of not Irish. Never mind.
You were
Alright.
close.
Lucky Charms.
So, do you actually feel sorry?
Hi.
She turned into a drow. She turned into a-
Sorry, not sorry.
How do I
Hi.
turn into a drow? I am a drow.
No, you turned into a rebel.
Hello. No, you're not sorry at all.
Sorry, not sorry.
So you're like, yeah, don't regret a thing. Dax looks and goes, kind of figured.
Don't touch it then.
Dax looks at you and says, I probably shouldn't reach in there either.
Well, Frog Boy, you're not.
What do you
Hey! Frog Boy! We're not taking into account there are two people standing in front of us.
You what?
We're not taking into account that there are two people standing in front of us, one of which just came out of there.
He's going, yeah, how about not?
Are you talking about Barbosa?
He's probably still upset the fact that I had a snake on his dick.
He,
I'm not
he
even
just
gonna ask.
he just looks at Dax and says, no hard feelings. Dax is like, it was your crotch, dude.
You know,
I had to intimidate him, and I told him I was going to rip his spine through his asshole.
You want Barbosa to grab a few flasks of holy water?
is it safe to put in our pack if we don't touch it?
Yeah, he like grabs a towel, he wipes off the outside of the
As it
flask.
shatters in your hand.
and your hand melts off.
Oh my god! So we definitely don't give this to the got it.
So roll a
What?
d6, and that's how many
I do
flasks.
that.
That was loud.
Or flasks of
Oh, I
holy-
just didn't expect it to sound like that.
Yeah, holy water. I mean.
Well, you know, holy water, acid, same
I stifled it. Leave me alone.
Is Dex bringing them back?
No, I'm bringing them back.
Dude, it
Bringing
sounded
you
like a
back.
dog squeal.
Oh, I hope so.
So
Like a chihuahua.
I stifled it.
you kind of see Dax's eyes glaze over,
It was high pitched.
like he's not there,
That's what I was like. I get it from you.
and then you just see him come back and go, and he goes, "We gotta go," and he grabs you, and all of a sudden you're like Harry Potter,
Back into the.
and you feel yourself flying through all these different dimensions back towards the material plane. And Dax is like, "Hold on!"
Okay, smoke break.
Right.
Gets back to the material plane. Dex is like, ha, ha, ha. Oh, all's there. Wait.
So
Okay.
we appear just as she has to do a save.
What?
I still haven't done my turn.
I know.
Or
How do we do? Remember
I
It's
have-
really funny because
Wait.
She
A
wouldn't
third-
have to do a
oh.
save, though. He's pushing it out.
Yeah, I'm pushing it away. I push all the fog out of the city.
oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. So
Everything's gone.
So is it my turn?
But she might have to do a save to stay in the air.
so
Because
Dax,
I've kind of
you and Dax
Uh-huh.
appear next to Bobby Joe in the air, and Dax is just kind of holding you up telepathically.
She has wings.
Yeah, until she sprouts her wings or whatever. And Dax goes, "We'll stop it there for a second, and I'm gonna go answer it." But Dax goes, "She's here," and he looks at you intently.
Lilith.
Law.
No, Hydra is doing this shit.
Lilith Wolf, whatever her name is.
It might be low, actually.
And he says, "Brace yourself."
Thank God it's not
That's all he
me.
says. As you hear what sounds like a roar and a darkness start to come out of the storm. Is it possible to have a tidal wave go through a hurricane?